Hi, first graders. I'm thinking back now to the beginning of the week in writing workshop when we read No, David. And in No, David, his teacher kept on saying no. She said no pushing and no running, but she never told David what he was supposed to be doing. How is David supposed to know the rules and how to follow them if all his teacher said was no? So, writers, today I want to teach you that when you're writing for a change, it's not only important to tell people what not to do, but we need to tell them what they should do. And one way to tell writers what they should do is by giving a solution. You can give a solution by saying, instead of blank, you should blank. So, a solution is how a problem is solved or fixed. And kids are experts at finding solutions and solving problems. So here I see three kids, and it looks like they're arguing over a remote control. It looks like they're watching TV and they're arguing about what channel to watch. So let's think, how can we give these kids a solution to this problem they're having? Well, I could say, instead of fighting over the remote, you should compromise and let one of your kids pick, one of the siblings pick a channel. Or you can say, instead of arguing, you should play rock, paper, scissors and decide what show to watch. These are all solutions or ways to solve the problem. That word instead is really important when you're giving a solution to a problem. Instead of arguing, you should go play a game and do something else instead. Let's see if we can give these kids a solution and help them solve their problem. It looks like they're arguing over blocks. I'm looking at this child's face. His face looks really angry. I'm wondering if we can think about some solutions that we've learned about in SEL this year. Who can give us a solution to this problem? Instead of blank, you should blank. Yeah, kids were saying, instead of yelling, you should take some deep belly breaths. Or instead of fighting, you should share the blocks. Okay, we just gave some solutions to kids in these pictures. Now, let's go back to our writing and see if we can put and include some solutions in our letters. Okay, here is a letter that I wrote this week. As a lot of you know, I love to bike ride to school, and I use my city bike in the bike lanes. But sometimes when I'm in the bike lane, there's too many other people walking. So I thought it could be helpful to write a letter to the people in New York who cross the streets and give them like some tips for how to be safe for bikers. So I said, dear New Yorkers, sometimes when I'm riding my bike, people try and cross the street by stepping into the bike lane. They do not look out for bikers, and I worry that I'm going to hit one of them. So I need to give them a solution. So I'm going to use that important solution writing word. I'm going to say instead. I'm going to say, you see that? Yes. Instead of crossing in the middle of the street, you should cross at the traffic light. You should cross at the traffic light. Then I'm going to use some linking words. I'm going to say, you could, well, not could, right? Really, I want to say you should wait for the walk signal. Love, Katie. So writers, I gave my readers a solution. I didn't just tell them, don't cross in the middle of the bike lane. I said, well, instead of crossing in the middle of the street, you should cross at the traffic light so that you don't hit the bikers. I gave my readers a solution. Let's see if I could give them a solution in another letter I wrote. This was the letter I wrote yesterday about keeping your voice down on the train. I'm going to read it again to remind myself what I was talking about. Dear passengers on the train, it is important to keep your voices quiet on the train. It is important to keep your voice quiet because people are trying to read or work. It's also important because people like to sleep. Another reason to keep quiet is because some people just like sitting in peace and quiet. Thank you for listening. Love, Katie. Well, I told my readers to be quiet on the train, but I didn't tell them what they should do on the train. What could people do on the train instead of talking on the phone? What are some solutions I could give them? Kids are saying they could read a book or play quietly on an iPad or even text instead of talking. When I'm looking at this letter, I'm realizing that I don't have space in the letter to write my solution, and I actually don't even have Post-it notes at home with me, but I do have space at the bottom. So I can write down here. I can say, using that solution word instead of talking on the phone, you can text the person or read. So I gave a solution of quiet activities that the person can do instead of talking on the phone. Now they'll know what they should do instead. So, writers, it's your job today to add some solutions to the letters you wrote earlier in the week. What should people do instead? Off you go.